So many analysts are out here fading the Minnesota Vikings, but today, Fabian, Sommer, and I put some respect on the Minnesota Vikings name. Today, we discuss their upside and we take a look at a future that we are absolutely in love with. That and more on today's show. What's going on, friends? Welcome back to Forward Progress here on the Hammer Betting Network, powered by Pinnacle Sportsbook. Before we get started today, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor over at Pinnacle. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook and available to bettors in Ontario. Find out what professional bettors have known for decades. Everyday competitive odds. Bet smart. Bet Pinnacle. Must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please always play responsibly and not available in the U.S. Guys, today I am joined alongside professional bettor Fabian Sommer. You can find him over on Twitter at Suma810. Suma, how's it going today? You ready for this video?
Jason, yes, I am. I'm ready for this video. I'm ready for football, and man, I can't wait. Let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get right into this. So I'm super excited about this one because you and I are kind of simpatico about this team, right? Today we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, and we're talking about why some people might be wrong about them, right? So let's kind of paint the tapestry first, right? The Vikings were, if you're just looking at the standings, you'd be shocked at how well the Vikings did last year. But if you look a little bit deeper into the numbers and why some let's say analysts or pros are a little bit sour on them, it starts to tell a different story. So why don't you tell us why some of these analysts are a little bit down on them this year?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, everyone and their mother-in-law at some point understood how fraudulent this Vikings team was last year when it comes to their win record. I think they went 13-4. But when you look at, for example, win total, not so much, but when you look at divisional odds and especially the discrepancy between the Lions and the Vikings, I think that there seems to be an overcorrection. The Vikings divisional price has moved a little bit over in recent days, but I think when you look at that plus 272 at Pinnacle, that's still, in my opinion, a playable number because when you compare these two teams, I think the only real difference between the two teams when it comes to winning the division is probably the schedule. The Vikings are going to play the Philadelphia Eagles, for example, which the Lions will not do. And but when you just look at this Vikings team, yes, they were frauds to go 13-4, and they played more like a, let's say, 8 to 9 team last year. But they are priced like that. But I think that they got better over the course of the offseason. On offense, it's the second year in the Kevin O'Connell offense. TJ Hawkinson will have a full offseason. He was a good weapon for them last year. Now, full offseason and week one in that offense. And they are replacing, I think, 33-year-old Adam Thielen from last year with first-round pick Jordan Addison. So you are looking at a offensive line that is, in my opinion, at least average. They have a top 5 tackle tandem, and the interior is a little bit shaky, but top 5 tackles in Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. And so average offensive line, we know who Kirk Cousins is, and now we are looking at second year in the scheme for the quarterback, for the tight end, more dynamic weapons. They are replacing Devin Cook, who was a shell of his former self last year, who finished like second to last in rushing yards over expected. So I think that this offense on paper is better than last year. And when you look at the defense, there's not too much room to be worse than last year. They were like, I think, 27th in DVOA and EPA per play or something. And there's not much room to be much worse than that. So Brian Flores brings a whole new scheme. I don't think that they have the bodies to run that scheme, but this will be a heavy blitzing defense that will achieve some positive variance in some games over the course of the season, like maybe a few sack fumbles, interceptions when the quarterback is under pressure, especially when they play like the worst quarterbacks in the league. I think that the scheme will come to fruition. And when you put everything together, I think it's hard to make a case for why the Lions should be a much better team than the Vikings. I think that the main difference is that we saw that the Lions can manufacture like a top 8, top 7 efficiency offense, but ASB is basically their only wide receiver as of right now. Jameson Williams has 9 career targets. He's going to miss 8.5 weeks from now on until he's able to play. Rookie tight end. We know that Jared Goff will not be a high efficiency passer in terms of consistency. So I really like the Vikings. I don't think that they will win 12 or 13 games again. I think when it comes to the win total, they are not really mispriced. But I think that this Vikings team can easily go 9-8, and if they win 9 games, they will be in the division. When you look at the other teams in the division, and I'm not that high on the Lions this year, so at plus 272, I like the Vikings to win the NFC North.
Yeah, fair enough. Plus 272 over at Pinnacle. You can find that over there. And their win total, just to give some context here, their win total is lined at 8.5. The over is minus 118. The under is minus 101. And I believe the Detroit Lions, just to build some more context along here, they're lined at 9.5. They're slightly juiced under. Their over is minus 104. Under is minus 114. And I like what you brought up there and kind of reading how the market is going, right? Because one thing you mentioned was the price discrepancy, especially with them to win the NFC here. So the Lions are at 10-1 to win the NFC, and the Vikings are 18-1 to win the NFC, almost at 19-1. It's plus 1882. So I mean, the price discrepancy is there, and the way you're describing it, it's almost like these teams are like so very similar, very high prolific offenses that will probably crack the top 10. Some may crack the top 5, but the defense is just where the issue lies here. Am I right in saying that? Is that kind of along the lines?
Yes, the Lions made some decent additions to their secondary to maybe get that unit more stable, but I think that their offense will likely take a step down when you compare that to last year. So, I mean, 10-1 versus 90-1. Like, just imagine both teams make the playoffs at, I don't know, 9-8, for instance. So, like, who would you rather have a Super Bowl ticket riding on? Like Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson, uh, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and Kevin O'Connell as his play caller? Or would you ride with Jared Goff and ASB and maybe half of Jameson Williams? I would probably rather side with the Vikings in that scenario.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And I think I'm in agreement with you there. But that's it for today, guys. Remember, if you like today's video, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment on your thoughts on the Lions versus the Vikings in market. If you agree with us or if you disagree us, let us know. We always appreciate the feedback. So for Fabian Sommer, I'm producer Jason signing off. This has been Forward Progress right here on the Hammer Betting Network.